Hello, friends. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Anna Sabramowicz, and it is Tuesday, April 2nd, the day after April Fools. I actually had a couple of friends with birthdays on April Fools, which is kind of cool to be born on that day, I think. Any day to be born is really cool, actually. And people who don't celebrate their birthdays after like 25 are like stupid. Like you only get that day once. So celebrate your birthday, because there's a lot of people who don't get to do that. All right. I'm going to be partying it up till I'm 99 and eating as much cake on that day as possible. Anyways, the reason I wanted to talk to you today, and as you may notice, my background has changed. It'll soon be changing again because I just moved, and it is a fabulous thing to move. Not said nobody ever. However, this is a good thing, and where I moved is also hotter, which is great because Mr. Darcy, my Chihuahua, is absolutely loving it. We call him Hot Dog, as in chien chaud, because he loves to just roast in the sun. Yes, he loves that. So, as you may notice, the title of my talk today says "How to Avoid Having Your Ideas Shut Down." And one of the things that I learned the hard way years ago is that your attitude about the value that you bring to a conversation, to an equation, is actually very you have to define that for yourself. You have to think about how you come in and the value that you add to a process. And the reason I was thinking about that is because I have strategy sessions every day with people who are adamant that they're doing their best to deliver great learning, create something innovative at their company, break through new ground, innovate, bring new solutions, deliver something they're proud of, but their ideas get shut down by people who don't understand or people who are not receptive or open. And there definitely is going to be always in everything that you do, resistance to your ideas. Because they're new, because people don't understand them. They don't know what they're getting into, because they're dealing with their own stuff and they don't want to deal with yours, or whatever. There's lots of other things, right? Like the messages and the kinds of conversations we have in our mind as far as why somebody would say no to our ideas are aplenty. And sometimes, actually most times, the reason somebody says no to you and to your ideas or shoots it down has nothing to do with you. It has to do with everything with them. So, I used to go back over, let's say I would pitch a project, right? Let's say, and this was usually a scenario project, and I'd say, hey, we should do this. Studies show that if you show something to people more than once, or when they're ready, or all this stuff, then they'll actually retain the information better. We'll actually get better results from our training. So I used to share these projects, and then I'd get like immediate pushback, like this is going to be too much work. It's going to cost us too much money. We're not ready for this. We don't have the software for this. We don't do that kind of stuff around here. Oh, we are too serious a company to do stories. We are too serious a company to incorporate illustration. We don't have the SMEs, blah, 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 goes on, right? Lots of stuff. Now, I used to take that all personally, and I also used to think that if I pleaded a better case for my solution, that would actually be a better outcome. Or this is what's happened, and I'm seeing it on the calls as well that I'm having the strategy sessions, people bring this up. What you will start doing is, because you want to have your idea implemented, you will start negotiating. So instead of delivering the full package of a wonderful story-based, let's say, learning module, you'll start taking in input from people who have no idea what the heck they're talking about, who don't design learning, who don't study why people retain and learn information. And what will happen is you'll actually end up convoluting what you did, is basically create an online book, right? Which, how everybody loves to read online, right? Except if it's a Kindle, which is optimized for reading. So, by the way, if this is something you want to get really good at, this idea of scenario design, which is what I talk about here and what I do daily, go to scenariodesignsecrets.com. I'll put the link underneath the video and book a schedule a session with me. So during that session, basically we talk about what you're working on, what your goals are, and if it's a fit, if I can help you, okay? So in the meantime, one of the things that came up during the strategy sessions is that as instructional designers and maybe even e-learning developers, because our knowledge of the field is so broad and we have such a broad skill set, because it's not, you know, compartmentalized into this little box like I'm a neurosurgeon, right? And there's a box. What happens is, and everybody comes in saying, hey, I went to school, that makes me a teacher. That makes me an expert on how people learn, which is not true. We know this. So what happens is we negotiate on our skill set. We negotiate on our solution. And I want you to consider this. If you've ever walked into a project meeting and there you have the project manager, there you have, let's say, the HR coordinator, there you have the department manager and the salesperson, and you're come in as the learning developer, learning experience designer. Do you ever go to the project manager when he lays out his project plan and says, I don't think I like that. I don't think project management is really important. I don't think we can use it. Or you say things like, is this really the right process? I don't think that should be the right process. And I've actually been on projects before, so I know how projects should be run. So I don't like the way you're doing that. Nobody ever questions the project manager on the fact that he's using project management methodologies, right? Nobody says, no, we're not going to do that. Definitely there's, you know, if you're moving to a new way of project managing, sure, there's a difference. But one of the things that you have to realize is you have to own the fact that you design learning for a living and that you are the person looking at examples, reading those blogs, having those discussions. You're a professional. You have to own that space. When you walk into that meeting, it's not all up for negotiation anymore. You're a trusted advisor in the space of learning. When you walk into that meeting, there's a project manager who is not going to tell you how to do the learning stuff because that's their domain is project management. So you're also not going to tell the project manager how to do their job, right? Unless they're, you know, messing up and you have to give them feedback. But you're not going to deconstruct their system and say, you know, I know how to do project management. Let me just arrange your things for you. You're not going to do that. And the same thing comes from you. You can't walk into these meetings saying everybody's going to collaborate and help me come up with the learning experience today. It's not going to work. There's no deciding by committee. You're going to have to take the lead and be very firm on what makes great learning, what you're going to design, what's going to be the system and the framework you're going to use, who you need to produce good stuff. A lot of those meetings are full of people that don't need to be there. You need to decide who needs to be there, what makes a great expert that you're going to interview, what makes a great performer you're going to interview. You make those decisions. You have to, because everybody else is just going on their intuition. That's not good enough. You're the expert. You're the trusted advisor. And I hope that comes through for you, because if we're always negotiating on what is a good experience for our learners, we're always negotiating also on our skill set and our value. And that's not good. You got to push back and own that space, because otherwise everything that you deliver will end up being secondhand good. It will not be valuable. It will not deliver the value, and you won't be proud of it because you'll have compromised 10 times before you even get to the final product. And that's not good, because when you think about it, what do people want? Like when you reach out to let's say you need the services of a lawyer, because let's say you're buying a house or you're getting a divorce. Now imagine if that lawyer said, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this. What do you think? Do you think this is okay? Do you want to collaborate with me on how this is going to go? And we could kind of come up with the laws all by themselves. You know, we could negotiate on those things. No, you want this person to come in and say, listen, I have done this before. I'm confident it'll work. Here's the process I follow. Let me guide you through it. Guess what you'll feel? freaking relief because somebody is a professional and owning that. So you have to stop being a doormat. You have to stop saying, let's all negotiate on what is a good learning experience. No, you've done your research. You have a system, you have a process. You're owning that and you're guiding them and they're bringing in the expertise that they are the domain experts in, and you're managing that learning process. So now let's say, and this happens too, let's say you want to get into this. Let's say you've already designed some learning, but you don't have a system and you don't have a process for engaging your experts. You don't know how to do that. Like, it basically gives you anxiety because you're completely overwhelmed when somebody says, let's design an engaging learning experience, because holy moly, I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I've seen stuff, but to get this started is like, where do I go? Where do I start? Guess what? I do this for a living. What you should do is book a session with me. And on that session, and I'll put the link underneath the video, on that session, basically what we do is we figure out where you're stuck. What are your roadblocks? Because a lot of people have the systems, the processes, but they don't have the confidence because they've told themselves they're not good enough. They've told themselves that they don't have the experience enough. They've told themselves they don't have the degrees. Those are all things that get in our way. Then there's people who have all the confidence but have no clue about how to get started, and all they need is a freaking proven system so they can just execute it, go and build something awesome. That's what they need. They just need a blueprint. We figure out what that is, and then I work with you to see if it's a good fit and we can work together. So I have an upcoming cohort coming up. It's a boot camp workshop getting started. I'm only taking 10 people for this one because the goal is that I work alongside you to make sure that you produce and get guidance and feedback as you're working on your project, as you're working on your baby, your scenario, whatever that is, so that you can produce something that you're proud of. You get feedback on from experts, you get feedback on from other peers, and also it's a system. You're applying that system and you're then able to just pull it off the shelf and put it into your next project with some freaking confidence, because that's what you need. The minute you have that framework ready, you're ready to go. There's no more questions. You're like, yes, I've done this. I've worked it. I've implemented it. It'll work here. Boom. You have like a tool in your toolkit and you can pull it out and go. So that's basically the goal of that. So if you have any questions about scenarios, how to talk to people who are experts, how to choose the right people to give you some great info for your scenarios, because a lot of people struggle with that too. Post your questions underneath this video, or like I said, jump on a strategy session with me so we can talk about what your goals are and how we can take you to the next level. Because there's a lot of people who watch videos, but then to actually invest in yourself and commit to make sure that this happens and you're actually doing the stuff that you love and delivering and being the professional that you want to be, that takes some commitment. So let's get in touch. Maybe we can work together. All right. So I hope you have like a fabulous rest of the Tuesday, and I'll probably see you here later this week. All right. Thanks so much for joining. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.